Hey guys, welcome back to my personal YouTube channel, the place where I just chill and post life updates from time to time, as well as some fun videos just like today's video. So, I recently did a top 10 favourite TV shows list, and I just thought I would do a top 10 favourite all-time movies. Now, when I was compiling this list, I was really struggling, as I have a lot of movies that I just absolutely love, but I just about managed to squeeze it down to just 10, and I'll be honest, I may end up doing a part 2 on this one. So kicking this list off at number 10 is Homeward Bound. Now, this movie always reminds me of being a child. I think I was around 6 or 7 years old when I first saw this, and I actually had it from Santa Claus as a Christmas present, and this was also on videotape. That's how long ago it was, and it's such a beautiful, feel-good family movie with some incredibly sad scenes, but I love animals, cats and dogs, and this movie has both. And if this movie is ever on like TV on the weekend, even just listening to the movie soundtrack instantly gives me a ton of memories of being a child and being back in my family home. So I have really fond memories of this movie, and if you've never seen it before, you really need to go out and buy it right now. But don't forget to stock up on those tissues. At number 9, and it's Death Becomes Her. Now, this is a dark comedy film that stars Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, and even Bruce Willis. And I think this could be the movie that made me fall in love with Meryl Streep. So, the movie is about this potion, and if you drink this potion, then you will live forever. And this is what two main characters, Madeline and Helen, do. But later on in the movie, they both end up having a fight because one of them plots to kill the other one, and they literally kill each other, but of course they cannot die. There are moments where Helen has a hole in her stomach and Madeline's head is turned around the wrong way. It's just dark comedy humor, and I've watched this film many times and it remains a classic for me. At number 8, and it's the 1994 action film Speed, starring the beautiful Keanu Reeves, and also stars Sandra Bullock. Now, this film is pure brilliance. There is this crazy ex-copper who wants a ton of money, and he tries to blow up a lift and kill a load of important people, but of course the main plot of this movie is a bomb on the bus. Now, Keanu's character Jack has to try and stop this bus from blowing up, because once the bus goes over 50 miles an hour, the bomb is armed, and if the bus then drops below 50 miles an hour, it will explode. And it's just an intense thrill of a movie with some classic moments, and honestly guys, they do not make movies like this anymore. At number 7, and it's the Rocky Horror Picture Show, an absolute classic in my opinion. Now, I've watched this movie hundreds of times. I love the music. Me and Peter occasionally listen to the soundtrack on our phones from time to time. It's a dark musical comedy, and it's perfect for me because I am partial to the occasional musical from time to time, but I also love horror. So throw them both together and we just have this absolute masterpiece. It's funny, it's a bit naughty and rude. It even stars Meatloaf, who ends up becoming Meatloaf for real. It's such a great film. Me and Peter always end up watching it at least once a year. Number 6, and it's Halloween. Now, I'm also going to be including the whole of the Halloween movies with this one, not just the original. I mean, the original is always the best and the most scariest, and I can remember watching this at quite a young age when I probably shouldn't have, and I was totally freaked out by Michael Myers as a child. I was a little bit creeped out by his white face and his heavy breathing. And do you know what? This is all because of the first film. I can always remember this scene where Michael is bashing his way into the closet to try and get to Laurie Strode, and his heavy breathing just gets louder and louder. Honestly, it scarred me just a little bit as a child. But I love the Halloween films. I love pretty much most of the sequels. I'm loving the new ones that have been coming out since 2018, and I love the Halloween theme song. At number 5, and it's The Devil Wears Prada. Now, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise to see Meryl Streep in on another spot on this list. Now, I've literally watched this movie a ton of times, and I've recently watched it on Disney Plus, and I never get bored of it. I think with this movie, because it's about a woman called Andrea starting a new job with pretty much the boss from hell, it's something we can all relate to. The awkwardness of a first interview and the sheer terror of your first day and feeling quite out of your depth, and then watching Andrea change into one of those runway girls and her whole personality ends up changing, and it's just so fascinating to watch because we all know someone who, I don't know, for example, gets a promotion in work and then changes, and not always for the better. I like the use of the music that is used in this movie, I love the characters, and whenever I'm feeling a little bit down or a little bit lousy, I always pop this movie on to cheer me up. I would have loved to have seen a sequel though. At number 4, and it's Terminator 2, one of my all-time favourite action films. In fact, I would go as far to say that this is the perfect action film of all time. Everything from the story to the movie effects to the movie soundtrack, it's just outstanding. Arnie is back as the Terminator, but he actually plays the good Terminator in this movie, and it works so much better in my opinion. Now, the movie plays on your fears about the future and technology, and maybe one day artificial intelligence will take over the world and destroy humans, you know? This film is just fantastic. It's creepy, it's funny in certain parts, it's mind-blowing, and it keeps you hooked all the way through to the very end. Another movie that I have pretty much watched countless times over the years. At number 3, and it's BridgetJones Diary. Now, I was actually really late to the party on this one. BridgetJones Diary came out in 2001, but I didn't actually sit down and watch it until 2010. I really don't know why that was. I think all the way through the noughties, I was really into my horror films and those horror remakes, and I think I pretty much refused to watch anything else during that time. But when I finally did see this movie, I absolutely fell in love with it. It's such a feel-good movie that always cheers me up whenever I'm feeling down. It's got a great cast and a proper British feel to it, and it's absolutely hilarious, the situations that Bridget gets herself into, and it's so relatable for me, and I think that's why I just love it so much. In fact, I may even end up doing a movie review on this film at some point in the future. At number 2, and it's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this is literally one of my all-time favourite horror films, and Freddy Krueger is my all-time favourite horror icon. I grew up on the Nightmare movies, once again from a very young age, which sounds totally messed up when you think about it, but that's what happens when parents leave videotapes laying around. But honestly, this movie used to scare the crap out of me when I was much younger, and it even gave me nightmares as a child, but it never stopped me from going back and rewatching it and watching all of the Nightmare sequels. I feel that the Nightmare movies can do so much more than your standard slasher horror film, and Freddy Krueger is literally the all-time boogeyman, where he can come out of your TV or he can pull you into your bed. The kills are just so creative compared to other horror movies. And at my number 1 spot is Love Actually. Now, I think some of you who follow me might be shocked that my number 1 spot isn't a horror film, but I had to be totally honest with this list, and Love Actually came out on top. This is, in my opinion, one of the best British movies ever made. It has an incredible cast in this movie, and we follow so many different stories throughout this film, and they all come together towards the end beautifully. There are moments in this movie that make me cry, there are moments that make me laugh out loud. It has a little bit of everything. There are so many iconic scenes that happen in this movie, I wouldn't even know where to begin, but one of my favourite scenes is that moment where Keira Knightley's character, she plays that wedding tape and she realises that Mark, her newly husband's best friend, is actually in love with her. And then they play that song, Here With Me by Dido. It's just fantastic and such a feel-good movie all round. And it's always on in our house around Christmas time every single year. And that was my top 10 all-time favourite movies. So guys, is there anything on this list that you like? Have I inspired you to dig out some of those old DVDs and rewatch some classics? Well, let me know. Let me know in the comments box below. And also, what is your favourite movie of all time? Okay guys, well that is the end of today's video. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you have that subscribe button turned on. Stay safe and I'll see you all again very soon.